And welcome to another informative live broadcast here at the Government Information Center. I'm Toa Fisher, former be your host for today. And today we continue our discussion, which focuses on the Labour Commission, and we'll be speaking all things processes related to trade unions. You too can also be part of this conversation. I implore you to please visit our social media pages on Facebook, the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, and on YouTube, MICT Namibia. Please follow this discussion, be part of the constructive discussion this morning. Now, trade unions play a very critical role in terms of enhancing relationships between management and workers, and they seek to enhance collaboration and essentially representation. I'm joined in studio today by officials from the Labour Commission Office who will further explain these elements to us. Please welcoming Ms. Kiliki Kankankla, the Labour Commissioner, Ms. Josephine Shuveni, she's a policy analyst, and Mr. Sakaria Nanjungwa, a chief analyst. Good morning, and thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, right onto our program and straight onto our questions. Commissioner, what is the primary focus for the registration of the unions and also employee organizations?
Okay, thanks very much for the question. But before I answer that question, I would just like us to have this as an opportunity to educate the public in relation to the registration of trade unions and employers' organization, their obligations and so on. And before I do that, I would just like to quote from the Labour Act, the definition of employers' organization. It means any number of employers associated together for the principal purpose of regulating relations between those employers and their employees or the employees' trade union. That is the definition of an employer's organization. And then I want us also to look at the definition of a trade union to say it's an association of employees whose principal purpose is to regulate relations between employees and their employers. Okay, I also want to indicate to say the formation of trade unions and employers organization is enshrined in our Namibian constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. And this constitutional right, it guarantees the freedom of association and the right to form and join a trade union or employers organization. Okay, while on the other hand, you have got the Labour Act that regulates now these entities in details. So, and this is the Labour Act that we are referring to. Mm-hmm. And it is very important that as an employer and as an employee, wherever you go, dealing with labour matters, you should always carry your Labour Act, the regulations and the rules relating to the conduct of conciliation and arbitration so that you are well informed in whatever you want to do. Okay, this act provides the legal framework that is governing the registration, the functioning and the obligations of trade unions and employers organizations to ensure that they operate democratically, transparently, and also within the national laws of our country. So the primary purpose for the registration of trade unions and employers organizations is to grant them legal recognition, which enable them to operate as formal entities with certain rights and responsibilities. And if we are talking about the rights of trade unions and employers organizations, we can also look at their rights that are stipulated under Section 59 of the Labour Act. And these are rights of registered trade unions and registered employers organizations. Okay, they have got the right to bring a case on behalf of their members and to represent their members in any proceedings, being at conciliation, being at arbitration, or even negotiations. The right of access to an employer's premises, and that is also further detailed under Section 65 of the Labour Act, and to have union fees deducted on their behalf, and to form federations with other registered trade unions. They also have that, they also enjoy that right. To affiliate and participate in the activities of federations formed with the other trade unions. Okay, the list is long, but I would also like to touch on the other rights, like they've got legal personalities. That means that they've got a right to to obtain legal status, which means that they will be able to enter into contracts which are legally binding. They will be able to acquire properties, and they can also sue and be sued in their own names. So, and they also have a right to collective bargaining rights, meaning that the registered union gain the right to represent its members when they are engaged in negotiations with the employers or the employer organization over wages, over conditions of employment, and any other employment terms that they would want to negotiate on. And also it guarantees protection and enforcement, because when you are registered as an employer organization or a trade union, you have got you enjoy protection. For example, if there is a lawful strike, that the employees embarked on a lawful strike, then the employers cannot just come and dismiss them because they partook in a legal industrial action. So that right they enjoy if they are represented by a registered trade union. And also a registered employer organization, you also have those rights that when you lock out your employees after you have reached a stalemate during the negotiations, so you enjoy also certain rights. And also you have got the right to enforce collective bargaining or collective bargaining agreements that you have agreed upon.
Commissioner, just a quick one. So basically, trade unions and employers' organizations, it's the same type of union, is it the same thing? Or what are the key differences really?
The difference is here that trade unions, they promote the interest of employees, while the employers' organizations, they promote the interest of employers.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarity. And then, Commissioner, another question is, what must be included in the process when you are applying for the registration of the trade union and essentially the employers' forum or representation?
For registration, yes, as
what must be included in that application?
Okay, when you go to section 54 of the Labour Act, or rather section 57 of the Labour Act, it provides to say any trade union or employers organization that has adopted a constitution that complies with section 53 may apply to the Labour Commissioner for registration, and that is now by submitting by completing a prescribed form, which is Form LC6, and then you attach 3 copies of its constitution, each duly certified by its chairperson and secretary as a true and correct copy of that constitution. So if you go to section 53 of the Labor Act. It provides that the constitution of a trade union or employers organization that intends to register under this act must include its name, the name of that trade union or employers organization. It must declare its object. Why are you forming this trade union? It must describe the industry or industries in its scope, because we do not want whereby a trade union is registering in an industry that is not properly for its registration. And then it should also provide for qualification for admission of membership. What is the qualification for the members that should join your trade union? It should provide for membership fees, because we have to deduct fees from your members. How much are you going to deduct from your members? And the list is quite long, and that's why I want the public to acquaint themselves with the Labor Act so that they can read all these things. And when workers would like to form a trade union, they should familiarize themselves with the requirements. And as well as the employers' organization should familiarize themselves with the requirements stipulated under Section 53 of the Labor Act.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Mr. Nanjingwa, what happens if a registered trade union or employers organization fails to comply with the rules set out in Section 60 of the Labor Act? What happens to such an instance?
Thank you very much for the questions. So when a registered trade union or employer organization fails to comply with the provisions that are stated under the Section 60 of the Labor Act, so the Labor Commissioner has an obligation to notify that trade union or employer organization on its failure to comply with the obligation that are set. So on that notice, the Labor Commissioner give an opportunity, the trade union and employer organization, to make a written or oral presentation to the Labor Commissioner. So now, after considering that written or oral presentation, the Labor Commissioner, if not satisfied, he or she might further issue a compliance order to that trade union or employer organization. And that compliance order, it's an order that is ordering them to comply. So if after then that compliance order is issued and the two did not comply with that compliance order, so the Labor Commissioner have the rights in terms of the Act to cancel the registration of the trade union or employer organization, or to apply to the Labor Court to issue another relief. So those are the conditions, or those are the action that the Labor Commissioner might take to the trade union or employer organization that fail to comply with the obligation that are set out under Section 60.
Now, is this something that you've come across a lot, or is it something that is familiar or is common within the industry?
Yes, because trade union and employer organizations, they are a registered organization that are required to make use of, or that are receiving funds, membership fees from the employees that are their members, and membership fees from the employers. So now, for them now to make sure that those funds are used for intended purpose, they are required by the Act to submit those financial statements to the Labor Commission to ensure that those funds are used for intended purposes. So the office is there to ensure that the funds for the members are not misused and they are used for the intended purpose.
Okay. Thank you very much for that
just
clarity.
Maybe in addition to that, just to say, maybe in the event the obligations of trade unions are not known, they are under Section 60 of the Labor Act, whereby every registered trade union and every registered employer organization is required to maintain a register of members in the prescribed form, to keep proper books of account, to prepare at the end of each financial year a statement of income and expenditure for that year, and a balance sheet showing its financial positions at the end of the year, like what my colleague has indicated. And then they are also required that within 6 months after the end of its financial year, they must submit an annual return in the prescribed form to the Labour Commissioner. And then once they have failed to do that, then what my colleagues has explained is what will happen.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Mrs. Shuveni, what rights do trade unions and workers' representation have in Namibia?
Yes, let me just respond to this question, but let me also indicate that a lot has been said by my colleagues already.
Absolutely.
I just do not want to actually repeat exactly what they are saying, rather than just give an emphasis to what I think it is a bit left. The trade unions and employer organizations. Let me start with the trade union. The trade union has the right to enter a workplace in collaboration with the employer in order to recruit their members. But that they must do it in a reasonable time, whereby they are not also interrupt the employer's time.
Okay.
So there should be an arrangement. It's just not a question of like, you have your members there, you have people that showing an intention that they want to be your members, and you just go there with your time. It must be done within a good collaboration or cooperation, for that matter. They have the right to educate their members about the Labor Act. They have the right to represent them in whatever manner. They have the right also to launch the disputes on behalf of their members to the Office of the Labour Commissioner. So, all of this, even if you are launching a dispute on behalf of your members, you must finalize your internal procedures first. Exhaust your internal procedures, so that when you are coming to lodge a dispute to the Labour Commissioner, there were no question of saying you did not follow the procedures or do not exhaust internal procedures. That is all from me.
Thank you very much. Just to quickly go back to Mr. Nangunja, Mr. Nangunja, what steps must a trade union take to become an exclusive bargaining agent for a bargaining unit? So what are those steps that they should essentially take to be recognized as the bargaining agent for that institution or for a set of employees?
Okay. So in terms of the provision in the Act, Section 64, the registered trade union who has majority in a certain organization might send a request to the employer organization or to the employer in a prescribed form for that organization to recognize them as exclusive bargaining agent. So now that employer organizations now has 30 days to respond to the request of that registered trade union. So the request, normally it's based on to say which sector that trade union is operating, and in terms of that sector to say now, if employer organization fail to respond to the request of the trade union, then after 30 days, or within those period of 30 days, the trade union might refer a dispute to the Labour Commissioner seeking other relief for that employer organization to recognize that trade union. So the Labour Commissioner now has to appoint an arbitrator to look into a matter so that the issue can be resolved.
Mr. Najugwa, just a follow-up on that question. So how do employers respond to that request?
In terms of the provisions of the same act, so when a trade union sends a request, there is a prescribed form. That form is LC10. So now they send to the employer for them to recognize the trade union. So now the employer organization will respond. There is a provision that it's the 30 days, within 30 days, the employer organization will respond to the request of that trade union. And it's only on two elements, either on the scope where the trade union focused, or again on the majority, because for the trade union to be recognized by an employer organization, it should have a majority members in that organization. When you talk about majority, these are what we call 50 plus. If there are 50 employees in that organization, so for the trade union to be recognized, such trade union should have at least 26 members.
Okay.
So then when it has those members, then it has the rights to request from the employer to recognize them.
Thank you very much. And Mrs. Shiveni, what are the functions of the workplace union representatives?
The functions of the workplace union representative is to act as a mouthpiece of the employees in that specific organization, to receive complaints from the employees and lodge it to the management, see to it whether they can reach an amicable solution to solve the problem. That's the main function.
Okay.
Then this person is also required, because the workplace representative is representing a union, is acting between the union and the employees, or the union and its members, and between the union and the employer. In a case whereby this workplace representative failed to to reach an amicable solution in a certain problem, this person can also liaise with the union, so that the union can see to it whether they can send somebody who is an expert than this one, or somebody who is at a higher level than the workplace representative, so that this person can try to solve the problem. So that is the work of the workplace representative.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Commissioner, I just want to know, what are some of the challenges and highlights in terms of the management of the current trade unions that you have in your domain? What are some of the challenges and obviously highlights that you've seen or experienced that you could just give us an overview?
Okay, thanks very much for the question. The challenges that we have currently is that there are some trade unions and employers organizations that are not complying with their statutory obligations. They are not submitting their annual returns to the Labor Commissioner, and as such, they stand a chance to be deregistered as trade unions and employers organization. And when it comes to the deregistration of such institutions, what will happen now to their members that they represent? But they also have a duty to ensure that they account for the public funds that they are running. Members, they would like to know how the fees that they are contributing are being spent or are being used for. So it is very important that they do so. Another challenge that we have is some of these trade unions that are not complying. They are basically not able to represent their members properly. And some trade unions that do not even have offices, their members do not know where the offices are. They normally come and meet at the office of the Labor Commission. Now, when there is an issue which they want to follow up with their trade unions, they don't know where to find them. And then now they come to the office of the Labor Commissioner as the last resort to say, can you assist us? And there are certain instances where an agreement is reached, and maybe there is a compensation of some sort, and then such trade union will say, pay it into this account. And then once now the employer pays that money into that specific account, that will be the end of communication between such member, such employee with the union that came to represent such employee. And those are real challenges. That's why we really want to make sure that trade unions are registered and the scope or the industry in which they operate are clearly stipulated. And when it comes also to the recognition of a trade union as an exclusive bargaining agent, they have to make sure that they have made an application, they have got a correct bargaining unit that they represent. Because when you are recognized as an exclusive bargaining agent, it will mean that you negotiate on issues of mutual interest for all the employees, whether they are your members or not your members, within that specific bargaining unit. The other issue that maybe I should touch is with regard to the access to the premises of the employers. I think in the past we have seen even politicians going to the premises of the employers. The employers, when they also have rights, as I have indicated before, that protect them. And if you go to Section 65 of the Labor Act, it talks about the trade union access to the premises of the employer. So if you are just a registered trade union, but you don't have a recognition agreement with that employer, meaning that you have not been recognized by that employer as an exclusive bargaining agent, then you only enjoy visiting the employer's premises after working hours. But like my colleague has indicated, you have to seek permission for you to do so that you can now recruit members, you can hold meetings with your members and perform trade union activities. If you are recognized as an exclusive bargaining agent, you have got access to the employer's premises to recruit, to hold meetings, and also to advance the activities of a trade union. The only thing that an employer has to do is to now request proof that you are indeed an official of that trade union or an office bearer of that trade union. So all these things are done so that at least there is industrial peace or harmonious relationship in our country. Thank you.
Commissioner, I just wanted to touch on something that you spoke of. You spoke of some of the challenges that you've been experiencing. Now, I was just thinking, with regards to the registered trade unions, is there trainings, workshops offered on maybe on an annual basis, which really helps to build up this capacity? Are the trade unions offered training, educational workshops, anything to that effect, so that you can actually build that, or rather close that gap when it comes to those challenges?
Okay, training, like what I have indicated today, I said I want us to go through the Labor Act as also a form of providing training to our social partners for them to understand, and also for us to encourage them to read the Labor Act, because everything that they may face is clearly stipulated in the Labor Act. But in the past, there have been some training sessions organized by ILO, and some of the training, the trade unions and employers organizations have attended such training. And we also advocate these provisions to them when we have got stakeholders engagement, because we normally invite them to come. But we are also planning to have training for shop stewards, trade unions, and employers' organizations. And sometimes also they invite us to attend their sessions, and then they can tell us to say, we want you to explain to us this specific training, and we have done so in the past.
Okay.
Yes.
I would just like to find out from Ms. Shuveni if you have any final closing remarks with regards to today's topic.
Yes. My final remarks to these topics, it is based on the challenges that we as an office have. The challenges is not only on the side of the trade unions or the employer organizations. It can also be extended to the workplace representatives. When the workplace representatives try to stand for the rights of their colleagues, they are subjected to disciplinary hearings, dismissals. Members are also subjected to discouragement of not joining trade unions. They are intimidated and they are living in fear. So the relationship between the employer and employees, when they know that this is a member of the trade union or this is a representative, it becomes extremely poor, to such an extent that some of the workplace representatives lose their employment. So they are living under fear of losing their jobs. So my last closing remark to the public: when you are an employee, you have the right to join a trade union without fear. It is your freedom that is provided for under the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia, under the Labor Act, and it will be dealt with if you are dismissed by the Office of the Labor Commissioner, if you are dismissed based on the fact that you joined a trade union. You have the right to lodge your complaint to the Office of the Labor Commissioner, and it will be dealt with accordingly. So feel free to join your trade union. It's your right. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that. I hope that the public is aware that they have those rights, and it's their legal obligation to be part of a union. Thank you very much. And Mr. Nangujwa, any final remarks from your end?
Yeah. I would just like to say the field is not leveled. So employment relationships, it's a relationship between employer and employee. So the employer is always having power. So it's my appeal to the employees to make sure that their issues are dealt by the trade union, and they should join trade unions to ensure that those members or those representatives, they will represent them instead of themselves approaching the employer. Because whenever they approach the employer, there are a lot of factors and issues that are involved. We talk of the level of understanding in terms of the laws. We talk of even the issue of victimizations. Imagine now employees approaching the employer on issue of raw payments or salary or whatever over time. So there is a lot of issues that will follow thereafter. But if they are representative, or if they are having a voice that is speaking on their behalf, then those issues of victimizations, those issues of whatever to say, dismissal or disciplinary discrimination will be limited. So my appeal is just for them to help trade unions that will speak to their issues or that will bargain to the employers. In short, that's all.
Thank you very much. And Commissioner, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much for the opportunity. Okay, I would just like to encourage the trade unions and employers organizations to educate their members. And once they educate their members, obviously we will have labor disputes reduced. I just came across one trade union, I think it was the day before yesterday. And then jokingly was telling me that, Commissioner, you see, we are no longer frequent visitors at this office because what we have done is we have embarked on training to train our members of their duties and responsibilities so that when they are at work, they know what is expected of them, how they should behave, so that in the end they do not lose their employment because of some misconduct and so on. I would like to encourage also the employers' organization to train their members so that cases that we are receiving pertaining to non-payment of wages, it's a right, it's a constitutional right for an employee to be remunerated for the services that an employee has rendered. So once we educate the members, obviously we will see that labor disputes in the country will be minimal, will be reduced.
Thank you very much for your final remarks, and thank you very much also in essence for being here today, for joining us and giving us this narrative on the trade unions and their roles and duties. We truly appreciate it and we thank you, and I wish you a blessed day. We have come to the end of our discussion today, and I'd just like to implore you to please follow us on our social media pages. If you want to look at past episodes or you want to see today's discussion, you please are more than free to go to the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, and that's Facebook, and then on YouTube it's MICT Namibia. From me, Twafisha Fombabi, and the MICT crew, it's bye for now.